Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America, where each episode we bring you a brand new interview with one of the film industry's top directors, conducted by one of their peers. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on Google Play Music, iTunes, Stitcher, or on our SoundCloud page at soundcloud.com/thedirectorscut. This episode takes us behind the scenes of an epic journey with director Garth Davis's new film, Lion. Inspired by true events, the film tells the story of Saroo Brierly, a 5-year-old boy who gets lost on a train that takes him hundreds of miles away from his home and family in India. He survives the streets alone in Calcutta until he is ultimately adopted by an Australian couple. 25 years later, haunted by memories of the family he left behind, he sets out to finally find them. In addition to Lion, Mr. Davis's credits include the documentary Pins and episodes of the television series Top of the Lake and Love My Way. In 2009, Mr. Davis was nominated for the DGA Award for Outstanding Directorial Achievement in Commercials for his U.S. cellular spot, Shadow Puppets. Following a recent screening of Lion at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Mr. Davis spoke with fellow director James Ponsoldt about the making of the film. In their conversation, Mr. Davis discusses the 5-month-long international search to cast the main character of Saroo, his desire to have the technology within the film be reflective of Saroo's emotional journey, and how interacting with the real-life Saroo and his birth and adoptive mothers influenced certain scenes in the film.
Thank you, Garth, for making such a beautiful film.
Thank you, James.
And thank you for being here with us tonight. I don't know how you're doing it. You finished shooting an entire other film a week ago?
Yeah, if that. Yeah, I'm pretty tired. But I'm here.
You're here. Well, let's talk about this film. Can you sort of start at the beginning and talk about how Lion sort of came to you and how you became interested in telling this story?
I was in Sundance with Top of the Lake, with Ian Canning and Emil Sherman, the producers of that show, and they had just read the article about Saroo's story, and they just thought of me when they read it, and they said, "Garth, you should really check this out." And I read the article and just totally fell in love with this story. I said, "Guys, if you can get the rights to this, we should make it," and they just went and got the rights, and we made the film.
It's just like that.
Pretty much.
Can you talk about sort of how you collaborated with your screenwriter, Luke Davies?
Yeah, Luke came on a little bit later. So when we got the rights to the story, I said to them, I really need to get to India and kind of immerse myself in the story. And so I was sent to India, and serendipitously at the time, 60 Minutes was doing an article where the adoptive mother was meeting the birth mother. So I was there during that moment. So it was kind of pretty amazing. I was, because Saroo was kind of so preoccupied with the stress of it all and kind of being with his Indian mother. So I was left with Sue a lot of the time. So I kind of was suddenly forced into this really kind of intense relationship very quickly. So it was really amazing. But anyway, I kind of did this big research trip, which started there, and I retraced Saroo's steps. And then at a certain point, we decided Luke was the right person. And then when he came on, he did the same research trip as I did. And then we got together in LA and started to map out the script.
Can you talk about Saroo and what he's like, and sort of what your impressions were of him when you first met him?
He's kind of a quiet guy. He's quite good with the ladies. A very determined person, but I don't know. He's a kind of curious character. But when I saw him with his mother in India, everything made sense, and I learnt the most from the mothers, more than anything, more than Saroo probably. The mothers really gave me the most guidance in the making of the film.
What kind of sort of guidance did they give you?
Well, it really struck me when I was with the 60 Minutes team and I saw the adoptive mother meet the birth mother, and there was this kind of image that I can't get out of my head where Saroo is standing there being embraced by both mothers. So from behind you see Saroo, and there's a kind of a brown arm and a white arm cuddling him, and I thought, far out, like he's just so loved by these mothers. And it was such a striking image, and both mothers or women are just so special and powerful and amazing that I just kind of drew upon their strength and their inspiration really for everything.
Can you, it seems such an impossible task of casting this film, which you did beautifully. Can you talk about how you assembled the cast?
Well, I don't know. I mean, most of you are probably directors, but realizing that the first half of the movie rests on a 5-year-old is a hell of a thing to kind of comprehend. It's very sobering. So I was kind of shitting myself. Like getting the right kid was kind of critical. And so we spent 5 months kind of hunting for the child. And I think we saw thousands of children, and then we got it down to about 100 or so. And there's this genius acting coach from New Zealand called Miranda Harcourt. She's a very special lady. I decided to get her on board, and we worked together quite intensively and workshopped these children in India. And then one day we came across little Sonny in that process, and it all worked out. But so it's a lot of hard work and a lot of luck, and you kind of get there. The rest of the film, I mean, at the end of the day, the only way this film could have been made in the way it was made was if everybody was passionate about making it. So, you know, you get kind of A-listers and all these kind of people who want to do the movie, but they're just going to dial it in. It's not really interesting. So everybody that came to this movie was passionate about the story, and that was really what guided me through the film.
I told you in the lobby that Sonny, I mean, for me, gave one of the best child performances I've seen in years. Can you talk about sort of what it was that stood out about him from all the hundreds, thousands of other kids that you met?
Well, I spent a lot of time kind of imagining the story, and I stood at Calcutta station, imagined my child. I have 3 children. Imagining them in this situation, and the reality of that was kind of intense. And you read this article and you go, yeah, it's a great story, but when you actually stand in Calcutta station or stand at the orphanages or stand at these places where sex trafficking kind of plays out now, it's very real. So I don't know. I kind of started to imagine and manifest what this kid was like. He must have been very streetwise. He must have had a kind of something about him that must have had an amazing instinct for things, which you see in the scene with Noor and Rama. And obviously I met Saroo as well, so I kind of had that as well. So I had this kind of imagining of this kid, and then little Sonny walked into the room, and just the way he held himself, it just kind of fulfilled that feeling I had about the kid. I go, oh my God, that's him. And then we brought him into this kind of acting exercise that we were trying out. And I just put the camera in his face, and I'm walking around with this kid, and I go, oh my God, this is our movie. So that was him. There was only one kid. That was it.
How different is sort of the approach when you're working with Sonny and, say, Nicole Kidman? I mean,
it's kind of the same. I think with children, you've got to do a lot more planning, but there's something kind of exciting about working with children because it's so kind of untamed and wild. But also I love putting non-actors with famous actors because they can't dial it in. They've got a real life person opposite them, and it kind of brings everyone into their A game. But to be honest, everybody in this film was just so engaged with what they were doing and being very brave in their choices. So it was everything was kind of the same but different, if that makes any sense.
Sure. And then can you talk sort of about, the look of the film? I didn't realize that you told me this in the lobby, but you and your cinematographer, Greg Fraser, you've been working together for 22 years?
Yeah, it's good, man.
Yeah. Can you talk about your collaboration on this film and I guess, in the grander scheme of things.
Yeah, Greg and I have known each other for like 22 years. He was the cleaner in my office, actually. And anyway, I suppose the key to it is that all of our early work we did together. So a lot of that intuitive stuff we kind of developed together. So, we just kind of understand each other in such a kind of deep way. So that was kind of really nice. And this being my first film, I mean, he became very famous, way ahead of me. And it was kind of coming together to do this film was very special. But I don't know, we just have a very natural quality together and an ease in how we're working together. So it was just a joy to work with him on this.
And what is, I mean, do you storyboard? Do you shot list? How does that work with you two?
No, I do storyboard eventually. I mean, I kind of, I have to I have to find the world of the film. So my big thing is locations. So I want to get on the ground. I want to find out where we're going to tell this story. And once I find the world of the film, a location or whatever, then the scenes start to present themselves to me and I can start to sketch things out. So it's a combination of locations and casting. In that process somewhere I can start to really visualize a film.
And what's the sort of the environment that you try to, with your assistant director, that you sort of try to create on set for all the actors, the crew? Is there something that you're aiming for?
I love creating an incredible sense of ease for everybody on set. You basically don't remember anybody that works on my movie. That's really the key. So it's actually very natural and easy, and everybody feels very safe. And I give the actors a lot of space. I don't light. I hate lighting. I hate sets. I like to give everybody as much environment as possible to express themselves and as much freedom as possible. So yeah, it's all about the performances, really.
Yeah. And so how many, say with Sonny versus Dev, like is there, how many takes would you do with Sonny to get the performance that you needed? Is it?
They're kind of the same, aren't they? They're two big kids. Yeah, look, I don't know. If you get it in the first take, you get it. I mean, I like to film the rehearsals. I'm not a big fan of rehearsing scenes. I kind of like to shoot the rehearsals because often they're very good. Yeah, I don't like to shoot more than I have to. But I don't know. I mean, they're probably about the same. Yeah.
And then sort of, I mean, coming out, the other side, what was the sort of the edit like? How do you work with your editor? And was this an easy story to find in the edit? Was it a longer process or?
I think the double-edged sword of this story is that it's such a powerful story that you can kind of get caught up in the shorthand quality of the story. So it was like, how do we find the complicated quality of the story? And I don't know. What we found is that this film had an emotional alchemy that was very sensitive to editing. So, there's a part of your head that decides that you could kind of truncate this section or move this section on, but you kind of disturb the emotional energy that you're creating in the edit. And I just was very protective of the energy that you create in the edit and just continuing that on. And so it became something that was a little bit beguiling and curious, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's the tone is so, for me, was so pitch perfect. It could have become sentimental, could have been, I mean, there's incredibly emotionally brutal and there's hints of it. I mean, I think I told you I was watching with my children asleep in the other room and I was dying inside in the first part, but you have an incredibly sensitive touch.
So do you, James.
Oh, thank you. Can you talk sort of, I mean, it is sort of, this archetypal, in some ways, sort of Dickensian story with this very modern sort of turn with Google. Can you sort of, I don't know, talk about the mapping and sort of, I don't know, it was part of what captured your imagination in the story and how you did that?
Yeah, I mean, it's always terrifying as a director to kind of realize you got to shoot a computer screen. It's like, oh shit, really? Even on Top of the Lake, I had scenes where we had to look at mobile phones. I was like, oh really? Yeah. So that kind of terrified me, but I kind of thought of Peter Weir a lot. like Picnic at Hanging Rock, and I thought, wow, he can make a rock kind of amazing. So I thought, well, I can make Google amazing. Yeah. And I think that for me, the one thing that really struck me was when Saroo said he found home, he saw his home on Google Earth. I mean, it was such a kind of poignant moment for him. It was this blurry, decayed image. It's like, so I never got that in my head, this kind of furry image. And it was, oh my God, that's my mother. Yeah. So I don't know, I just kind of decided that if we structured it correctly, that all the Google stuff, we will take Saroo's emotional luggage and we'll just project it into that imagery, and it could be very exciting. Yeah. And also Saroo believed that he would astral travel back to his mother. So every night he would imagine himself kind of travelling out of Hobart. He would fly back to back to India, go down all the laneways, and he would go into his house and he would visit his mother and say, "Hi, Mum, I'm here. I love you. I'm still alive." And it was something he always did. So the whole opening of the movie, the whole title sequence is really his spirit going home to India. So I kind of got a bit excited about making Google his spirit and making the technology kind of reflect his emotional story. Yeah, so there's no VFX. It's all, we wanted to go back to the original software and get that kind of low rent Google Earth period. Yeah. When you get on a film, everyone's going, "Hey man, we get the visual effects on." And I'm like, no.
Do you not like visual effects?
No, I love visual effects. I mean, but no, not in this case.
Can you talk? I mean, you were talking about sort of the screens and how it's a challenge for any filmmaker to film screens. Can you talk sort of about how you think perhaps your background as a fine artist affects your approach as a filmmaker?
It's interesting because my background is kind of fine art, and then I fell into TV commercials, which is kind of not where fine art should really be. But I don't know. I just think when you play with the alchemy of characters and story, it's very fulfilling in the same way that maybe a fine artist is fulfilled in what they do. So I don't know. It's in some way maybe through the alchemy of what you're doing, you kind of communicate something that's very deep and interesting. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about now.
Can you talk about the use of sort of the score and how you work with your composer?
Yeah, I mean, there's two things that I've recognized as a lot of people are afraid of emotion in movies, and they're afraid of using music because they think you're cheating. I just love music in films. Like I love The Mission. I love Jane Campion's The Piano. So I was really excited to use music in a bold way. So it was something I was always kind of excited about. And it was really interesting because I was kind of cutting the film and trying all these different composers, and coincidentally, at the time that I was getting close to having to make a decision, one of these composers I was using the offline was actually performing in my hometown. Hauschka was playing in Melbourne. Oh, that's weird. So I went down to watch his show live, and it was such an amazing show, and I thought, holy shit, he's amazing. He's perfect. And he actually said this song was about being in a train, going along, and I'm going, oh my God, it's meant to be. And I thought, oh, this is fantastic. And so I met him after the show, and I said, I've got this crazy idea. Maybe you and Dustin O'Halloran should work together. I said, I don't know if you'd be open to that. And he goes, that's so weird. I was his best man at his wedding. And I went, yay. So it was the train and Dustin, and that happened a lot in this film. So I don't know, they're just such beautiful guys, and they're so heartfelt, so it all worked out.
I have to ask, I mean, what for you was the hardest part of making this film?
I think it was definitely the child. Yeah. It was definitely realizing that half the movie rested on the performance of this child. That was very sobering as a director. Yeah. It was terrifying.
Yeah. Has it affected, are there things that you have taken from the film that you took into your next film and sort of changed your approach at all?
I think the one thing that I've learned is that your instincts are never wrong. So like your immediate reaction to something is never wrong. That's what I've learnt. And to always surround yourself in people that you trust. And I mean, these are all obvious things, but they really pay off, I think, in big ways. But that's what I really learnt a lot in this process, and never to assume anything. You know, I have a rule: always see a set before you shoot it. Always see a costume before you shoot it. Just don't take anyone's word for anything. Yeah. Like, always see everything before you shoot it. But also, I think if you bring people in, everyone you choose, if they're passionate about the film, like, amazing things are possible.
What can you share about your next film, the one that you've just finished?
I'm probably going to get a lot of trouble for it. I don't know. I was just finishing Lion, and the producers brought Mary Magdalene to my attention, and I said, "No, I'm really tired. I need to have a break." And anyway, I read the script. It was astonishing. It was absolutely astonishing script, and oh shit, I'm going to do this. So I was kind of thrust into that, and but it was I've literally just come off the set like 4 or 5 days ago. It was such a fantastic experience. I can't wait to cut it.
I can't wait to see it.
Joaquin Phoenix as Jesus, which is kind of extraordinary, and Rooney again. I mean, she's just such a beautiful actress. So I'm a very lucky man.
You are. Well, we're very lucky too. Garth has another Q&A that he has to go to immediately from here. So please give him a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, James.
It was a pleasure.
Well done, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this DGA Q&A. Check out past episodes of the podcast by subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts, or on our website at dga.org/podcast. We'll have a lot more episodes coming your way over the next several weeks, so stay tuned. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Director's Cut on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, or our SoundCloud page so you won't miss an episode. Also, if you're enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks for listening, and have a great week. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America. Music is by Dan Wally.